Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new here. So yeah, we are getting back into the Bravo sphere. Now we're not specifically talking about a recap and reviews because we're taking another slight detour, but definitely going back into the Real Housewives world at this point. Now, as you may have recalled, if you have not had a chance to, I hope that you will. But yesterday I dropped the season finale, Real Housewives of New Jersey. I won't keep saying Orange County because that's the one that's going on right now as well, but New Jersey. And, there was a lot of stuff that was revealed in that season finale that aired and that we recapped and reviewed. And part of that was a very uncomfortable moment that Louis and Teresa had in one of the areas in which they were getting ready for the big sit down that Teresa was going to attend with the rest of the ladies. Now, what that comment was definitely was shared in that recap and review, and we're going to discuss it here because it seems like Louis had a bit of a change of heart, and I'm glad that he did because it was a pretty rough comment and something I wouldn't dare want to say to somebody either, because you do reap what you sow, and what you put out in the universe is a lot of times what you will get back. So considering that the revelation that took place, if you have saw the review and the show itself, you would have seen that the issue that this is the stemmed core from is Louis was dealing with his ex in a situation where there was a restraining order. Now, this was a court case that they had been going through for at least 6 months, maybe longer. Now, of course, this stressed Teresa out quite a bit. And one of the things that she wanted to have put out and presented to the ladies is to let them know that Margaret was the culprit behind connecting with Louis' ex and feeding stories to, everybody, the blog, social media, into our awareness. What we found out during the sit down was that it wasn't Margaret that was actually doing the conversating. It was Jackie Goldschneider, friend to the show, used to be a primary Garden State holder at this point, because they don't really hold anything when they're standing during their intro. And also prior nemesis, now newfound friend of Teresa's. Now, of course, you would have been just as aghast as the rest of us was, because Teresa seemed to really kind of just took that in stride at the moment anyways. But we all kind of feel like if this had been Margaret, we would have been reading more of the riot act. So we do feel like she was a little bit taken off guard because it was Jackie and not Teresa that was apparently working with that particular ex. Now, it was also shared within the episode that there was a few people that kind of contacted the ladies on the show for different reasons, all stemming from basically, exposing or giving information or telling individuals to watch out in regards to Louis, because this is what he's been pretty much dealing with quite a bit since 2021. Now, if I can kind of go back a little bit, I think that with Margaret, and even the rest of the ladies as well, who may not have been fully on board with Louis at the beginning of when Louis and Teresa started dating, of course, they wanted to check things out to make sure that things were cool for their friend. They really wanted her to have a good guy for the most part, but it seemed to think that things turned left because, of course, Teresa wanted to stay in that love bubble that she had, and she really didn't want to hear anything negative about Louis. And there were so many rumors, I guess, and so many accusations and allegations that were put out there. She really just wanted to shut those down and really wanted her friends to be on their side 100% and support 100% and not have any reservations about the situation. Well, that wasn't the case for all of the ladies. Margaret was one of them. She had some reservations. She did try to share those. It wasn't really received well. And, at some point, Margaret kind of let things go. But at this point, also, things seem to be snowballing and pestering, and more of the exes of Louis was kind of getting involved, and, things were coming more to our awareness. That all bundles up to us now finding out that, of course, there is no longer a situation where Margaret contacted that particular ex that Louis was in litigation with. Apparently, Margaret was supposedly subpoenaed, and Margaret at the table had said, look, you subpoenaed the wrong person, because Jackie should have been the one, because I never, spoke with this woman beyond DMing after the Boldito situation, which is that private investigator situation that kind of exploded on the reunion from last season, as far as apparently it was alleged, Louis was trying to get someone to look into all of the cast members, more or less as a revenge and vendetta plot, and that way they could expose them or have something on them if they needed to use that. So that pretty much brings us up to speed as to why now Louis, after making a statement about the fact that Margaret, in which her son in specific, and her as well, need to suffer for the situation, because this is what he was feeling, and expressed that before we found out that it was actually Jackie that had made the contact by having the friend or the ex over her house and getting some deets in regards to keeping it under her vest in case she needed to use it in the future. That, she says, was the goal. Do we know beyond that? Not really sure. Jackie's been really made out to be quite the sneaky one here. She definitely says that the reason why she did it, of course, if you would have seen the recap review, is that she was upset about the allegations or rumors that Teresa appeared to be spreading. And Teresa felt, well, I did hurt her, so I can understand her retaliating. And that's kind of how things were left. But of course, you most certainly can watch the recap review to get more of the information as well, with the breakdown of that dinner and all the things that was said and shared about this situation. So, of course, that being said, Louis says, look, I guess after watching the show and maybe some backlash that came about after hearing what he said, he wanted to take a different tone, and that was to basically apologize for the words that he said, because they were pretty heinous. So with that being said, we also go into the fact that Andy then decides to, enter the chat as well after this reference apology was provided, and shares his thoughts. And I will be covering both of those in this video as well. So let's go ahead and quickly go over the apology associated by Louis, and then we'll move over to the next sharing with Andy Cohen and what he had to say about it all. All right. So that being said, we are going into the article that the sharing comes from, which is people.com, and it shows that Teresa Giudice's husband apologizes for wishing Margaret Joseph's son suffers. He says he was disappointed in his actions. Now, after watching the finale, I was disappointed in my actions in bringing up Margaret Joseph's son, Louis Reales posted on his Instagram stories. Teresa Giudice's husband is speaking out after comments he made during the Real Housewives of New Jersey's explosive finale. Now, Louis posted a lengthy statement on his Instagram stories on Tuesday, August 6th, to apologize for the hateful remarks directed at housewife Margaret's son on Sunday's episode. At one point, he said, "I hope Margaret and her family suffer," sparking backlash from viewers. "The finale was very tough for me to watch, and I wanted to address it with you all," he began his post. "After watching the finale, I was disappointed in my actions in bringing up Margaret's son. The reason he was even brought up was because I have been dealing with being falsely accused of calling Margaret's son at work, which is simply not true. For the last year, Margaret kept putting this narrative out there that I called her son at work, and I have had to deal with it knowing I am being lied on," he went on to claim. "Still, I know better not to bring someone's child up, and it is something I deeply regret. So I do want to apologize and acknowledge that I was wrong." The actual Instagram post further shares, and I'll go ahead and just read that out to you quickly. It says, "The finale was very tough on me," as he had shared, "to watch, and I wanted to address it with you all. After watching the finale, I was disappointed in my actions in bringing up Margaret's son. The reason he was even brought up was because I have been dealing with being falsely accused of calling Margaret's son at his work, which is simply not true. For the last year, Margaret kept putting out this narrative that I had called her son at work, and I had to deal with it knowing that I was lied on. Still, I know better not to bring someone's child up, and it is something I deeply regret. So I do want to apologize, acknowledge that I was wrong. There's been a lot of toxicity on the show that has affected everyone on the show. We have been dealing with a lot of frustrating things behind the scenes, and it has been very hard for our entire family and my children, who have been really impacted by all that's happened at the hands of certain people. Two wrongs don't make a right, and I deeply regret saying what I said." Now, Ruelas continued to say that while he felt he was defending himself and his loved ones at the cast Last Supper taping, he now realizes the impact of his reaction. There's been a lot of toxicity, as I just basically covered in his Instagram post. So his feelings about the toxicity and how he wanted to address that and still feel that, obviously 2 wrongs don't make a right. Now, the sharing further says that in the season 14 finale, Louis and Teresa planned how to confront Joseph's at Louis' alleged she had lied about him, calling her son at work to threaten him. This came after the friendship hit its breaking point when Teresa accused the designer of reaching out to Louis' ex and spreading lies on the internet. Tell her to stay away from our family, Louis told his wife of 2 years. I hope Margaret and her family suffer. I hope her effing son suffers the way I suffered, the way other people in our family have suffered dealing with a woman like that. Furthering the attacks, Louis labeled Margaret a disgusting, vile human being, and Teresa maintained that the couple's kids suffered because of the situation. She's here to take advantage of everything that's going on, and she's a real piece of garbage, he added. If Margaret doesn't apologize to you, she's not even worth you even sitting in front of her, Teresa. This also came less than 2 weeks after Teresa called for an end to the online bullying and toxicity in an Instagram post. I have been on The Real Housewives of New Jersey for the last 14 seasons. Now, this is what Teresa says apparently in an Instagram post. And dear time, I have seen and been a part of my fair share of drama with my castmates, she wrote on July 24th. What is happening off camera and social media is absolutely disgusting and is fueled by toxic people who are not affiliated with the show or cast and are only interested in promoting themselves by spreading their hate through false narratives and lies. It has affected all of us on the cast and our family, she continued, referencing her co-stars. They are attacking our children, going after our businesses, and they are turning something that is supposed to be entertainment into something very dark and toxic. She concluded, this hate and toxicity has to stop. I am asking everyone to stop engaging in any negativity towards my castmates and all our families. Enough is simply enough. And I would have to agree, this is something that really gets talked about quite a bit when it comes to these Real Housewives shows. We saw it in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as well, where the toxicity led from what was said or not said or researched or not researched. And it did carry over into the children, more or less, not just those individuals that said some wrong things and did some wrong things on the show to the children on the show of the cast members, but I will digress. There were, fan backlash as well that, some of the children on the show have experienced in great lengths, such as Gabrielle, not Gabrielle, I'm sorry. Oh gosh, what is her name? Oh my gosh. It's like right there. It's not Gabrielle because I'm thinking Gutierrez and it's not that. Oh my gosh, what is her name? Oh shoot, that's so bad. But yes, some of the cast members have had to deal with each. It might pop up later. Like I've been doing stories all day, so it might pop up later and then I'll think about it. If you can think of who I'm talking about, drop it down in the comment section, help a girl out. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, oh gosh, Bouvier. I can't think of her first name, but her last name is Bouvier. How would I remember the last name when that's probably a little bit harder to remember than the first name? Oh, that's so wild. But anyways, that's, some of the things that, that the cast members' children have had to deal with. So it's unfortunate, but I'm glad Louis did come out and speak. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. What do you think about the situation as a whole, on the finale and what took place? Like I said, it was cringe for me. I didn't appreciate, and I shared that in my recap review. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Definitely leave those respectfully down in the comment section in regards to Louis' apology. Do you think it was heartfelt? Do you think that this is a point that they can kind of move on? I don't know if Teresa's going to move on per se, but maybe Louis feels at this point he wished that he could and wants to. So yeah, so of course after that ends up happening, Garcelle, I don't know why I couldn't remember because I had someone else's name in my head and it just wouldn't leave. Garcelle Bouvier, if you remember, her son dealt with a lot of nasty, vile backlash that had no reason to be towards him. It was a really disgusting situation. Won't bring it up fully in this video, but just to share, of course, that we know that some of the kids do get attacked and it's just really unfortunate. So that being said, let me know your thoughts about Louis' apology. And now we're going to move over to Andy Speaks because he had some words to say as well. So let's go ahead and get into that. Now, according to page 6, Andy Cohen slams Louis' dark comment about Margaret's son. He says, I would go absolutely mental. Now, Andy Cohen had called Louis viral comment about Margaret, her son, the darkest moment of the Real Housewives of New Jersey's finale. The Bravo executive told Garbage World podcast listeners Tuesday that he would have gone absolutely mental in Joseph's shoes, despite usually being mellow yellow. Louis 49 brought up Joseph's adult son in last Sunday's episode, as we had talked about, basically saying that, he wanted her to suffer, her son in particular to suffer as well. Cohen had continually noted that he has viewed the Housewives drama a little differently since becoming a parent to son Benjamin 4 and daughter Lucy 2. He says, "Let me tell you something. The Watch What Happens Live host says, if someone that I didn't care for invoked either of my children's name, that is what it would take for me to be Danielle Cabral." And we all know how Danielle rolls. Now, he joked Danielle Cabral's button is, "Don't talk about my husband's pecs. Mine would be, if you mention my children in an unfavorable way, better watch out," right? He doesn't say that part, but I'm assuming he's saying better watch out. Now, podcast co-hosts Casey Wilson and Daniel Schneider chimed in to say that Louis' wife Teresa and her RHONJ castmates have never gone after each other's children. They added, "Children have always been of importance to these women." While Teresa, 52, has yet to address Louis' controversial comment, her partner issued a public apology, which I just covered just a second ago. The finale, he says, of course, that it was very tough, and we kind of went through his spiel on why he said it and then his apology. Now, the reality show's Bombshell season 14 finale had also included Jennifer Aiden shaming Cabral's husband Nate's boobs, which prompted him to fire back with a shirtless photo shoot. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but if you have, I'm sure it was quite entertaining. Now, the reunion, which was filmed in a non-traditional way, is due to the cast's many feuds, will air this upcoming Sunday. But of course, the future of RHONJ remains unclear. Now, Cohen did make headlines last month for implying that there would be a reboot with all fresh faces. We did cover that, but at the point in time, it was more or less a reboot with possible change, a couple of faces, a couple of new people. And we also talked about new scenarios. I did a video on that. Make sure you go ahead and check that out if you like as well. And so, of course, saying for season 15, before walking back this commentary and saying that nothing is definitive. So they don't really know everything at this point. People have kind of spoke about what they feel as far as the whether it be a reboot or refresh or whatever is going to happen. But I will share a little bit about that. Some other individuals that had some things to say that were in the Bravo sphere in regards to this as well. But I'll share that in a later video. But I thought it would be great to kind of just, bring this to the forefront, since this is something that's completely fresh and just happened. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. I tell you what, if I was in his shoes or in Margaret's shoes, I would feel all kinds of things that I would be saying and probably doing and handling, because at the end of the day, you just don't be wishing ill on people, because that stuff does come back to you. Karma is something. Look, karma comes to people who don't do much in life, and most certainly comes to people who do a lot in life. So that being said, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and of course, if you are new here and you haven't had a chance to subscribe, I wish that you would, and become part of the family. I would love to have you. Of course, subscribing is free, so definitely hit that subscribe button, and of course, go ahead and hit that all notification bell as well, so you don't miss an upload. This will be my last video for today, but I do believe I will be popping back on again tomorrow, so we can kind of resume the RHOC recap and reviews. I've got, I believe, one behind, which is episode 4, and then episode 5, the new one, comes on tonight, and I want to get that out for you guys tomorrow too. So I will be working very hard to get that to you, and getting your thoughts about that. So definitely be sure that you got your notification bells on so you don't miss that. And yeah, definitely leave your respectful comments down in the comment section. To that end, I hope you have a wonderful evening or a wonderful time in the day, no matter what time of day you're actually watching this video, right? So yeah, take care as I bid you adieu. Thank you so much for being here. Be blessed, and until next time, bye.